video about how to create a new project and start in on part 3 of this activity that we're going through. So you have already created your subassembly and you have already created your assembly drawing. These are all shared items that everybody on your team and in your project can access. Your job is to then individually create a final pen assembly by bringing in all of the sub-assemblies from your teammates. So let's follow these steps and see what we can do with it in Fusion 360. So it says to create a design file in your own project folder outside of the shared folder and name it. Okay, so it says folder, but really this is a project that you're in. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to go over to Fusion 360 in the data tab here. And right now I'm in a project called IED. Okay, if I go back to my home, you may even need to change your team. I'm not entirely sure. So if you are able in this to create a new project, that's what you should do. And title this Final Assembly. So that's your new project. If, however, you don't have that button and you are not able to create a project, you'll need to change your team back to your individual team. Okay. So now in my final assembly, I'm going to have this blank page, and the first thing I'm going to do is save, and I'm just going to call it, Final Assembly. And my location is this project that I want to be in, Final Assembly. Okay. So that's important. You do have to save this file first. Now, what you'll be able to do is go back into your shared project where you had some of these sub-assemblies, right, from your teammates. And in this data tab, you just click and drag into this space. And there is a sub-assembly. And moved all the components over, click OK. And it shows that it is linked. So if your teammate goes back into that file or the individual parts and changes things, this will update. You might have to click an orange update button, but they can change something and it will update in your final assembly project file. So let's see, there. So you can go into anybody's files, right? You can see them in that shared project. And you can click and drag. And you can drag in all of these parts, all of these sub-assemblies, right? They're attached. And once they're in here, then you can assemble them to one another, right? You can click on the key points here and go ahead and assemble them in the orientation and with the correct motions that they may need. So there is my assembly so far. Okay, so just a couple of quick tips. Again, try to create that project inside of the team, but if you can't or you don't have that button, you may need to go back into your individual team to do that. But again, this is all pretty individual. Once your teammates have their sub-assemblies done, you're just using them to create your final assembly. And that's what Part B is talking about. To add each subassembly file from your team to your final assembly design file, click the design file in the data panel and drag it to the final assembly design file. Add joints to each subassembly to completely assemble it. And then as each team member creates their own assembly model, the subassembly design files may need to be updated. And like I mentioned, it will provide you with a button to then finish and update to have those updated in your final design file because it's all linked by clicking and dragging. So what is it that you are in charge of turning in on Google Classroom? Well, it'll say on Google Classroom as well, but at the bottom, the deliverables, submit a full screenshot, so full screenshot, please do that, of your individual drawing file. So that's where you had your multi-view, your exploded view, parts list, all that stuff. And submit a full screenshot of your final assembly. So on this final assembly, you don't have to create a drawing file for the final one. You just need a full screenshot of your fully assembled pen. All right, head on over to Google Classroom, make sure that's all done, and good luck out there.